Hi Astro friends, Melanie here on the 10th of June 2024 with the Astro Weather for the coming week starting tomorrow the 11th and going until the 17th of June. Yes, we're coming towards the end of Gemini, towards the end of summer. Summer solstice will be this year already on the 20th of June because of the leap year. So some events, some ingresses when planets and sorry, not the planets, but the sun enters a new sign, and in this case, especially also Cancer with summer solstice, come earlier than usually the dates we are familiar with. So it's not the 21st this year, but the 20th. What's the exact time for summer solstice? 1:51 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. So this is, as I said, still the end of Gemini. The last 10 degrees are starting today. The last decade, which has also a Gemini undertone. What's the theme there? Double Gemini. So double Gemini, so much information, so much is going on in the mental sphere. And together with that, we have also a strong MERCURial week actually. Not only will Mercury, that the main feature is that Mercury will pass the Sun in the superior conjunction. Now the fastest between retros, right? This is the fastest phase, and in retro it's the slowest, and it goes backwards also from Earth perspective. On the 14th will be the day of Mercury passing the Sun. So it's a Sun-Mercury conjunction, and then Mercury will shift from being the evening star, which we don't really see much anymore nowadays because Mercury is too close to the Sun. But technically, Mercury has set after the Sun, and it will shift to morning star, where Mercury will rise before the Sun. Not only Venus, also Mercury can be evening or morning star, depending on whether, and it's not a star, it's a planet, of course, but depending on whether it sets after the Sun or rises before the Sun. So, yes, and then when Mercury is ahead of the Sun in the zodiac and rising also before the Sun, that will be the MERCURial phase, where the mind is also ahead of spirit, consciousness, the heart. So we have to watch not to getting too much into our head, into our analytical and in our very cerebral mode, and stay in touch also with the heart, especially with Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, going ahead of the Sun. Anyway, yes, it's a very MERCURial week, a very double Gemini decade as well. And yeah, so we can be on a positive note, we can be the pollinators. It's a very pollinating and distribution oriented phase here, end of Gemini. And I have a few friends who are born with that signature, whose birthday is this week, in other words. And both of them are really, both that I'm thinking of right now, who both have their birthday tomorrow, the 11th, one male, one female, interesting Gemini combination. They both are very, what's the word here? What's the word? Not distributor, I can't think of the word, multiplicator, right? I'm not sure whether that's still used, but people who actually put the word out, reach lots of people, and have a strong voice, right? That is very Gemini, and double Gemini in this case, even like the 11th. So, yeah, Mercury also is this week. It might appear in some regard as if there are some mental blockages. Some people might think it's even a Mercury retro phenomena of what's going on. And no, Mercury in Gemini, in its own sign, squares Saturn in Pisces. That's going to happen on the 12th, on Wednesday. So Wednesday also being the day of Mercury. And this is the last of the squares to Saturn of 3. We had Venus squaring Saturn on Saturday. Yes, and then on Sunday, the Sun squared Saturn, and now Mercury will square Saturn. So it's like this trio, strong energy in Gemini with personal planets and the Sun in conflict and in a strong charge, in a strong, that there's a strong energy activated here in terms of the Piscean um, issues that we have. What does that mean? So we hear lots of news and we talk a lot about things that are serious, which is Saturn, right? So we're drawn to that. It's not all just from the Venus perspective, right? It's not just all nice and light and easy from the Gemini perspective as it tends to be, but there's also a somber and sober and heavy even undertone in the atmosphere. That is Saturn in Pisces, showing us how everything is connected. And there's lots of news out there now that show us the puzzle pieces, but not necessarily the whole. The how everything actually is an expression of one problematic phenomenon, that all is connected. And you see themes like the ongoing war in Gaza, right? The ongoing war in Ukraine, so much suffering. Again, Pisces, right? What's the common denominator here? All these separate issues, and why do countries side and deliver all these destructive weapons into war zones and being allies with this side or with that side? Bottom line, people suffer, people are being killed, and they are the real victims of the wars. So who benefits is always the question too, right? Who really actually benefits of this war, of these wars? The weapon producers and all the agenda that actually is it's a colonial and it's an oppressive energy that does not honor human lives. So, can war ever end? We don't know. Chiron in Aries now since 2019 and really strongly amped up this year with a total solar eclipse on April 8th, which came with which came in Aries with Chiron, shows us that, yeah, the wounds of war, right? The wounds of warfare. And what heals war? And where does war start, right? So Aries is all about beginnings. Where does everything start? Or even historically, where did things start, right? Did these things really start with these provocative events? Or was there a backstory? That's another question, which might come out again once more. There's a chance for all of that, a big chance. I mean, there's always a chance, but Pluto is a catalyst for that when he goes back to Capricorn, which will be from September 1st till November 19th. So, yeah, so no wonder with Saturn in Gemini, the messenger in square with Saturn, delivering news that are in a way depressing, at the same time really important. We have the responsibility to look at the connectedness of everything, right? That's Saturn in Pisces. And also this week, another kind of heavy hitter is Mars, freshly in Taurus, in square with Pluto, retrograde in Aquarius. What's with all of that? So here's Mars, Pluto. That's also strong forces clashing in from the Taurian perspective. Has to do with either the desire for calm, peace, and things being settled, versus with Pluto in Aquarius. No, there's all these systems that are in charge, in control, and they wield their power. And it's an old, ongoing story, Pluto retrograde. How can we find our power within given these repetitive patterns? And how can we, the people, Aquarius, right, come together and stand up for humanity? Right? That's very much the Mars in Taurus. Early Taurus is also standing your ground, and there's so many rallies and so much going on in the world right now. Yeah, having to do with various themes around Taurus, which is also the cost of living crisis, which is also about food and about real estate, about colonialism, all of that, right? And Pluto in Aquarius, it's like we are changing into a new era. We can't go on with the dynamics of the old empires, right? A new humanity is emerging, and it shows, and there are clashes of forces, right? And on a positive note, with Pluto, with Mars square Pluto, this is also a great time to come together with people, with peers, with friends. Happened to me quite a bit over the last few weeks. And you probably know it when you hear it, that you're part of the team, that we are sharing our connectedness, our shared values, which is also the Taurian part, and we are doing something about it, which is Mars, right? And stronger together, says Aquarius in combination with Taurus. Now, what else is going on this week? In terms of the alignments, before I go to the moon, the lunar phase, alignment wise, yes, the Saturn, the Mercury square Saturn on Wednesday. Then we have a shift as Mercury passes the Sun on Friday. Over the weekend, especially Sunday, I should say Sunday, Monday, not quite the weekend, but Sunday, Monday, Venus and then Mercury will square Neptune. That's different than the square with Saturn, right? So they both will square Neptune just before entering Cancer, because Mercury is at the very end of Pisces and they square from end of Gemini, right? And so that square with Neptune can bring out a lot of either a overwhelm of things, an overwhelm also of information, a flood of things, right? But it can also open up our floodgates of compassion and really feeling our connectedness with what we want to really share and talk about, and not just intellectually connect with, but also emotionally, because also both Mercury and Venus, as I said, enter Cancer. The shift from Gemini to Cancer is ruled by Mercury and ruled by the Moon, is also a shift from thinking to feeling. And this is what happens with summer solstice, and now also just before summer solstice with Mercury and Venus. So there can be also a beautiful atmosphere in the air, especially weekend and beginning of next week, a kind of romantic, a very emotional, sentimental, and beautifully connective energy. So this is being open, connect, and don't be like go beyond the Saturn factor into the Neptune factor, right? So Saturn factor says no, and this is wrong, goes into judgment, and is very upset about all that, as I somewhat expressed before, embodying that energy that's currently on. And then Neptune says, how can we actually connect and help dissolve all of this? I'm reminded now also of 1989 when I was still in Germany and the wall came down. It's interesting, right? So I wish the war would come down just as the wall came down. When the wall came down in 1989, it was an alignment also of Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus in Capricorn, in opposition with Jupiter in Cancer. So there was a strong movement of the people. And of course, there were also political background to all of this. There's some people said, yeah, actually, communism was bankrupt anyway, the Capricorn perspective. And yet, the people came together in churches in East Germany. I'm from West Germany, but they came together in East Germany and protested in the churches. They were every Monday evening in the church, right? In a spiritual sanctuary that was sacrosanct and couldn't be shut down. And so the connection, that's very much, and the spiritual dimension, that's very much Neptune, right? Which can be really one possible solution, not the only one, but probably really the high road, right? And also media play a strong role there. Media, film, music, creativity, right? To help people connect and reunite again at this big transition of eras, out of the Pisces age, out of all the suffering and all the chaos and victimization, oppression, and all this, and even religions being hijacked for that. Now, yes, Venus and Mercury, as I said, enter Cancer. Venus will enter Cancer on the 16th, Father's Day, next Sunday, and will be in Cancer until July 11th. Mercury will enter Cancer on the 17th and will be there till July 2nd, faster. Mercury is typically faster. And then just after both have entered Cancer, they also unite. Mercury will then reach and pass Venus also on the 17th. So that's quite a shift. And on the Cancer side, again, a water sign. We haven't had too much water energy lately. A first water sign of the zodiac. There has been only the Piscean dynamic of Saturn and Neptune, and now we have seasonally Cancer, and that's a softening of energy, and also can be also more tribal energy. It's about home, it's about belonging, family, so, and anything that can make you feel open, connected, caring, compassionate, self-caring, right? Inviting. It's also Cancer. So being gentle with yourself and open up to the world and offer sweetness. Then, yeah, Mercury Venus together are actually, they come together once a year. And together they are also a great combo for writing that is appealing, or also a journaling, right? Journaling your feelings is very much the Gemini, Cancer, Mercury, Venus dynamic. Also shopping, if you will, right? Especially, I would say, like if you're out and about and there's garage sales and stuff like that, where you connect with people and shop at their homes while being also contributing to less consumption and waste. That would be very apropos as well for Mercury Venus on the cusp to Cancer. Now we have, by the way, the Sun will square Neptune. That will be the last, right? So again, all these squares from Gemini to Pisces, in this case, to Neptune. And the Sun will square Neptune on the what is that? June 20th. Yeah, June 20th, just before entering Cancer. So again, a cuspy at an equinox and equinox and solstice energy, because the end of Gemini is the summer solstice, and the end of Pisces, where Neptune is the spring equinox. So that's a very cardinal, so mutable to cardinal, but a very crucial. Um, these are very crucial energies there at shifts, right? So that's the pillars in a way of life. When you have Pisces to Aries, it's birthing, it's freshness, it's newness. Everything is arising, and that is where Saturn and Neptune will meet next year, summer, July 2025, and again February 2026. So that is huge. That's also a wave towards a whole new beginning. Yes, the danger of that is chaos leading to war, right? That's also Pisces Aries. But we don't want to feed that energy. We actually want to feed the end of all the suffering and seeing how everything is connected and how a new beginning needs to happen and wants to happen through Pluto also, then fully in Aquarius. Then we have, of course, the summer solstice energy, where now Mercury, Venus, and the Sun go into. And that is the crucial pillar of life, having to do with home, with family, with belonging, right? So, in that regard, nurturing yourself and nurturing others and being inviting and feeling where your home is. And back to your heart, back to your sense of sensitivity around feeling caring and cared for. All of that is Cancer. Now, let's talk about the moon. Cancer is ruled by the moon, and what's going on with the moon this week. We have the moon in Leo right now, since yesterday afternoon. Today, moon is in Leo. Tomorrow, still until the evening, until 10:39 p.m. Leo moon in combination with Gemini sun, a waxing moon, is wonderful for creativity, for expressions of joy, of buzzing around. But we also want to watch overdoing that can be kind of too much narcissism, too much me, and talk about me, right? So, but it's actually a very bright energy that we want to express and share. Then we have and loving from the heart. So it's a combination of the heart and the head, in fact, right? And the moon in Leo is it helps us to really figure out what our needs are, like the need to be seen, the need to be loved, and doing something about that. Then we have the moon in Virgo all day Wednesday, which Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Wednesday is MercuryDay. So that's again aligned. While also, as I said, on Wednesday, Mercury will square Saturn, right? So it's a very Mercury, Virgo, Gemini, Wednesday energy. So it can be good for doing practical things that are, clearing, that are cleaning, that are doing, errands, all of that, and looking after things, tending to your world and tending to your health, to your wellness, to your business. All of that is great for Wednesday, and to the so-called small things can be actually very fulfilling. Then we have the moon still in Virgo all day Thursday the 13th. Again, health, wellness, service also, right? So anything that you can help make the world a better place and help other people is very apropos the Virgo moon. Then the moon will go in the morning of the 14th of Friday to Libra. I should say late morning, 11:12 a.m. And we'll be in Libra for the rest of Friday, all day Saturday, and Sunday also almost all day. Yeah, because the moon will only go into Scorpio at 11:38 p.m. on Sunday. So it will be a Libra moon weekend, which is beautiful again for nurturing relationship and harmony, culture, balance, being with people, going out and doing cultural things. I might go dancing again. So, and anything that it's double air, right? You have the Libra moon and Gemini sun, and lots of air on that next weekend. So it can be um, very communicative, a lot going on, very lots of stimulation for the mind, and yeah, and also connecting with people, right? Very social. Then the moon will go into Scorpio, and that will be on Sunday the 16th in the evening. We'll be in Scorpio all day Monday the 17th, and all day Tuesday the 18th. That's as long, Monday is as long as this Astro week goes, so it ends with a Scorpio moon. And a Scorpio moon is often feared because it takes us to depth, right? So the Libra side is still, everything is still nice and dandy, and then you actually dive into deeper layers, be it of a certain process that seem to be all cool and fine, but actually you don't feel good about it. Or it can be also, especially in relationships, the deeper dimensions of that, the background, the psychological effects, and all of that, how we're being affected emotionally by things that trigger us and take us into a process, into a loop, into a spiral, into a rabbit hole. But they can also bring out the undercurrents, which are usually hidden, right? And it can be as also with Gemini, as with the combination of Gemini Sun and Scorpio Moon can be Scorpio per se. It can be also very magical, right? And Gemini is also that midsummer energy, the summer solstice energy. There's a lightness, a fairy energy. It's also magical. Both are quite magical and are also alchemists, right? So I think I mentioned that before in these videos. The alchemist of Gemini is more a bringing together of polarities of the yin yang, masculine, feminine, this, that, the polarities in life, and even in the hemispheres of the brain, right? And the Scorpio is more a depth, right? So we're going through processes and things transform us and bring out the shadow. That's very Scorpionic, but it's also an alchemy. Then, yes, Monday the 17th, as I said, the moon's still in Scorpio, while Venus, while Mercury enters Cancer. With the moon in Scorpio, with the moon in end of Libra, Venus enters Cancer. Did I say? Okay. Venus enters Cancer on the 16th, while the moon is in Libra, ruled by Venus. Then Mercury enters Cancer on the 17th with the moon in Scorpio. And so that theme in the background of Libra, Scorpio, moon, while both Mercury and Venus enter the sign of the moon, Cancer. So that is sort of a flavor of things going on in relationship, I suppose. And the relationships can be literally with family or can be with dynamics that are like family, or like-minded people who are like family, or relationships that bring out family patterns. And it would be really good to process those. And yeah, so typically in a personal session, we can really look at these things specifically. And when you present your chart, you bet we can totally connect with what that means in your life. Now, with these videos, I'm always more abstract, and that's the challenge with that, but I'm challenging myself to it. And I hope it's still understandable and applicable for you. But in a personal session, it becomes very clear what this is all about and how you can navigate in a smoother way, and you can be more in alignment, in a higher vibration with these cosmic energies, because typically we are in alignment just on a low vibration, on a vibration where there's more suffering or there's more unnecessary resistance or loops or things that are not the best expression of these energies. So let's use them in a better way for our own sake and for the sake of the greater evolution. Speaking of sessions, I just felt called to offer on Saturday, the day, which I didn't even mention. This is a day super rare where there's no alignments, not even of the moon. Not even the moon makes any aspect to any other planet, nor does a planet make an aspect to a planet. This is kind of like a beautiful, it's an empty energy, which can be actually really freeing. And it's like, oh, okay, nothing is at this point taking us in certain directions. We can be in a beautiful, empty, and organic flow, and see what happens when we are not influenced by anything. Yeah. So on that day, I wanted to offer Astro sessions, focused ones, on a specific question or two, and shorter sessions at a great affordable rate all day. Come if you feel kind of out of whack, out of sorts, somewhat disoriented, or you have questions at this time. Where can you be going, and how can you really align with what's available in this apparently super chaotic time, which is also full of opportunities and new alternatives, especially complements Jupiter now in Gemini. And so, yep, you're most welcome. There is a Facebook event for that. I did not put it in the last newsletter because I didn't even know yet at the time I would offer this. But here you go. So it's a Saturday, all day, 44-minute sessions, or you can book a block of 2 of them. Yeah, that's it for this week. Next week, we will go into the summer solstice. But before I sign off, let's see how much time we're already. Okay, more than 32 minutes. Okay, I better sign off now. Wanted to offer a tarot card, but that takes us into too much time. Anyway, another time we'll do this, tarot cards or other cards, because the cards are always playing a role also in the, and always blended into the Astro session, and that's always pretty cool to see. So next week, yeah, summer solstice. I might or might not have time for the card because it's also the day of the full moon that comes right after summer solstice on June 21st, the first degree of Cancer and Capricorn. Very, very cool. Okay, wishing you a beautiful end of spring week, and take it easy on these squares with Saturn, but also let's acknowledge what there is. This is important. There's important messages coming through with Saturn and Mercury. Wishing you well, and see you again in astrology, in community, or you see me on this channel. Bye.